front-running Astros is a significant shot on the arm for a team in need of a boost. While they have already won the series, a sweep would really tighten things up in the West Division. Tonight's starter Colby Lewis has had great success against the Astros, and he looks to keep it going when the Rangers look for another win in the Bayou City. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Viewers TV. Well, the skies are clearing over downtown Houston. The roof is open in Minute Maid Park, and the Rangers looking for the sweep in Houston tonight. It's the finale, the Rangers and the Houston Astros. And welcome in, everyone, along with Mark McLemore, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Wednesday night of Ranger baseball. And as far as 2015 goes, the Rangers hope a historic Wednesday night as they look for their first sweep of the year tonight against the Astros. And Matt, they're relying on the salty veteran, Colby Lewis, on the mound tonight.
They are the salty veteran that has ice water in his veins. I love the way Colby goes about his business day after day and start after start. And he's pitched well, even despite his overall numbers of 1-2 win-loss record. He's pitched well, and he's pitched well against this Houston Astros ball club. In just 11 games, 8 of them in starts, 5-1 record, an ERA of 1.9. and opponent's batting average of 192. So he's done a tremendous job against this Astros ball club, and I don't think I'd want anybody else out there other than Colby Lewis tonight as the Rangers go for a sweep.
Yeah, and you know what you're going to get from Colby. That's the important thing for Jeff Banich's ball club, and what they've gotten lately has been pretty good. They're looking for more of it here tonight as they look for 3 in a row, and they take on the Astros in Minute Maid Park. Well, the Rangers on a pretty good roll. They're led off by that man, Shin-Soo Choo. We'll be back with more of our pregame right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. To you by your Texas Ford dealers. The
Yeah, Buzz, things feeling great down here, too, with a little breeze blowing down here. And, 6 days ago, the Rangers got a new player, called him up from AAA, that is, Kyle Blanks. And, boy, he has started offensively and really jump-started this offense. He's got hit 500 on the road, 391 for his time here, and he says it's all because of a very basic and simple approach.
I just feel like I'm taking good swings, and ultimately that's after the swing's done. If I feel it's a good one, it's kind of out of my hands. The guy's still out there trying to get me out, so for me it's just a matter of taking those good swings, because I think for any of us in here, when more good swings we're taking, typically the more hits we're going to get, the better we're all doing. So just focusing on taking those good swings, and find some good pitches, good things happen.
Well, and after 3 of those swings, the ball has left the ballpark, including 2 over the weekend and 1 yesterday. So those are about as good as you can make a swing at the big league level. He'll hope to continue his hot ways. He is the team leader in home runs as of right now. We're going to come back and give you the lineups, the first pitch, and get you ready as the Rangers try to sweep the Astros here in Houston.
The left field wall, and we're about ready to get underway. And here's Mark McLemore with tonight's Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup.
All right, leading off for the Rangers, Shin-Soo Choo will be in right field. Elvis Andrews will play short and bat second. Fritz Fielder will be the DH and batting in the third slot. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup hitter playing third base. Kyle Blanks will be fifth, playing first base. Left fielder tonight, Carlos Peguero in the sixth hole. Robin Chirinos will do the catching and bat seventh. Adam Rosales will play second base and bat eighth. And Delino DeShields will bat ninth and play center field.
And that lineup that has been very productive in this series will be facing the 31-year-old right-hander Samuel DeDuno. DeDuno, no record yet in 6 ball games. 5 of those have been in relief. He's just rejoining the starting rotation. Basic pitches, a fastball and a curveball. Now, his fastball will move a couple of different ways. He has great movement on the fastball, and that's both a good news, bad news scenario for him. Good news is it's tough when he gets it in the strike zone. Bad news is he doesn't get it in the strike zone as often as he'd like to. So the Ranger hitters are going to try and be patient, make him throw strikes with that fastball, and then work from there. But his stuff is outstanding. There's never been a question about that. How many strikes he throws has been the only question for him. And we'll take a look at the Astros defense this evening. Robbie Grossman in left, Jake Buristic in center. Colby Rasmus is starting right. George Springer out of the lineup tonight after that smash into the wall that he had last evening. Carter at first, Altuve and Gonzalez up the middle. Valbuena at third, and Castro is catching for Sam Deduno. Well, the Rangers come in at 10-16. They have won 2 games in a row. And the first pitch of the evening to Shin-Soo Choo is in for strike one. Choo 3 for 10 in his career against Sam Deduno. Pitch outside. And the count evens up at 1-1. Shin-Soo, a 151 average. 2 home runs, 9 driven in. A 5-game hitting streak, though. He has put the bat on the ball with regularity of late. He has led off the last 3 ball games with a double, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, Choo's starting to look very, very comfortable in the batter's box. And I think a little bit of it has to do with him in the leadoff spot. Now, he swung the bat well over the weekend, and he was not in the leadoff spot. But putting him back in a familiar position once he started feeling better at the plate, I think that's helped him.
And I think the big thing for Choo, too, he's taking some walks, and that means, to me anyway, that he is seeing the ball better, that he's in a better frame of mind offensively. Got him swinging. Deduno will not light up the radar gun with the fastball. You saw it at 88 there, but it's got great late movement, and that gives hitters all kinds of problems. So he strikes out Choo, and that's how we get things started here tonight.
Sinks that ball there, and that's what you don't want to see as a hitter. You don't like the late movement because there's not really anything you can do about it. You've already committed to the swing, and once that ball ducks out of the way, either off the end of the bat or to your hands or even underneath it, you've already committed and it's over with.
Here's Elvis, who takes strike one. Andrus doing a lot of heavy lifting of late to get his average up to 240. A home run, 6 driven in. Well over 300 the last couple of weeks of hitting. He takes low and inside. 14 ball games has seen Elvis climb over the 300 mark, almost to 310. This is a guy that 3.5 weeks ago was hitting about $140 and really mired in problems. That breaking ball hangs high, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
And I like seeing the way that he's going about it. He dropped down a bunt last night, which is something he really hadn't done all year. Perfect bunt. Couldn't do anything with it other than look at it. Then he went to right field, dropped a single into the right field, into right center field in front of the right fielder. And that's what you want, especially with Elvis. When he's going the other way, like most hitters, when they're able to go the other way with the ball, that tells you that they're on it. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. So I like what he's been doing over the last 2 weeks, and it just looks like that focus, especially over the last few days, is there in his eyes. And I think that's really what Elvis needs to really concentrate on, just keeping that focus. And it can be a little bit difficult at times. Your mind can wander, but you've got to be strong enough mentally to keep things in focus, especially pitch to pitch.
He's run the count full now, and Deduno back to the plate. A little pop foul that will reach the seats, and we'll try the 3-2 offering again. Matt, you hear the phrase a lot of times talking about a hitter, especially one that's hot, is he doesn't mind hitting with 2 strikes. Is the ability to take the ball the other way part of that idea?
There's no question. Absolutely. Being able to use the entire field helps you. If you're just a pull hitter and you've got 2 strikes, if you don't get a pitch that you can pull, you're probably going to roll over it and you're done. So, yes, being able to use the whole field definitely helps you be a good 2-strike hitter.
Well, and there's something else that Elvis has done lately, too, getting a walk, and he has been on a walk binge along with the base hits. Mike Witter's home plate umpire flinched as that pitch came in. He was thinking about ringing up that right hand, said, I won't do it. Well, the Rangers have their first base runner tonight as Elvis gets the 1-out walk, and it brings up Prince Fielder. Fielder in a limited number of bats against Deduno, a 500 hitter. For the season big guy's hitting .350 for the Rangers. He is the team leader with 13 RBI and a couple of home runs. And Prince Fielder has been showing you of late. He will use the entire field. Second highest average in the American League against right-handed pitching. Fielder hitting a robust .400 against righties. Elvis, a pretty good lead at first. And outside goes ball 2. You saw the shift that the Astros have in place for Prince Fielder. Lone man on the left side of the diamond is Luis Valbuena. Again, a monstrous hole at shortstop. That's not a personal attack on the shortstop. It's just stating there's nobody there. There's a strike, 2-1. Fielder last night got things started with a double into the left field corner, scoring 2 Rangers. At Minute Maid Park, he has been on a tear his entire career. 8th highest average in the history of this ballpark that goes back to the first year in 2000. There goes Elvis. The pitch is high. The throw, they got it. Well, a good quick release by Jason Castro, and Elvis shot down.
Dodino got to the plate quickly, and that's really where it is. Now, obviously, it's great to have a catcher that can throw in a quick release, but it's that pitcher that determines really if you're going to have a chance to throw that runner out. Got him just in time.
Well, Elvis caught for the second time in 6 attempts this year, and Prince Fielder draws a 2-out walk. So he is aboard now, and Adrian Beltre will come up. Back-to-back walks issued by Dodino. Fielder drawing the most recent one. Now Beltre will come up. Adrian steps in, hitting .219. And he has plagued Sam Dodino over his career. Beltre 5 for 10 with 2 home runs against the tall righty. Ranger fans will remember Dodino as a Minnesota Twin. And that's where most of the at-bats that the Rangers have had against him have come. Dodino has spent the last almost year over here in the Houston on the Houston team. Adrian against these Astros since the start of 2012, a .346 average. That's just a little bit low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Adrian with 2 home runs, 5 driven in, although he has had 3 RBI in his last 5 ball games. He's starting to drive in runs with a little more regularity. Dodino checks Fielder at first. Sharply hit ground ball, but right at the shortstop, Gonzalez. The short way, and that'll do it for the Rangers. They got a couple of walks and strand a runner in the first. After half inning, it's the Rangers nothing. The Astros coming up on Fox Sports Southwest. the Houston Astros starting lineup.
Leading off for the Astros, Jose Altuve is at second base. Marwin Gonzalez will be in the 2-hole. Luis Valbuena will bat third. Evan Gattis is the DH tonight. Colby Rasmus is hitting 5th. Chris Carter is hitting 6th. Jake Marisnick is hitting 7th. And Jason Castro is hitting 8th. Robbie Grossman in right field batting 9th.
And 35-year-old right-hander Colby Lewis, a 1-2 mark, I should say, an ERA of even 3. He has had great strikeout numbers, over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings against the Astros in his career. And he could use a little run support here tonight. Colby has averaged about 3 runs per 9 innings that he has been out there. The Rangers, of late, not scoring a thing for him.
No, that's been tough. He's pitched extremely well. Last outing, didn't give up any earned runs, 6 strong innings, but just not having the run support. And you look at the 1-2 record, and you're like, well, 1-2. Well, you look at that ERA, he's right at 3. Yep. I'll take that ERA every time. With the way Colby's been pitching, if you give him any kind of lead, I think he'll be able to hold on to it.
Dealing with Jose Altuve, you saw the numbers for the Astros second baseman. He's going to ground out to Elvis Andrus. Nice job to get out number 1. Now Marwin Gonzalez coming up. We'll take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense. It's brought to you by Brake Check tonight. Outfield this evening with Peguero in left, DeShields in center, and Chu in right field. Kyle Blanks at first. Adam Rosales to start at second. You saw Elvis, the shortstop. Adrian Beltre at third. Robinson Chirinos is back behind the plate. And Colby Lewis, man from Bakersfield, California, is on the mound. Marwin Gonzalez, switch hitting infielder, shortstop of late for the Astros, takes Rowan inside for ball 1. Gonzalez hitting .291. He's had very few at-bats against Colby Lewis, just 4 of them. He has 1 hit in those 4 at-bats for his career. Pops 1 foul. That will be on the seats over the Ranger third base dugout. Well, with the roof open, there is a bit of a breeze swirling in Minute Maid Park here tonight. The flag's out in center field. And it's stretched out toward left center. Maybe 8 to 10 miles an hour, but it'll get in here and swirl a little bit. So we may see it come into play as this game goes on tonight.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when a stadium has a little bit of swirl, a lot like what ours used to have. But it could be interesting, especially in these dome stadiums or the stadiums with retractable roofs, right? Because essentially you're playing in 2 different ballparks. One that has, the characteristics of when the roof is open, and then the other when it's closed.
Mm-hmm. And with the varying heights of where the roof is when it's open, air kind of hits that. You get different kinds of wind currents. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. Got him swinging. Colby getting some elevation on that fastball, and Gonzalez couldn't quite reach it. That is out number 2. First strikeout for Colby Lewis. Now Luis Valbuena.
Colby going upstairs to get that 3rd strike. And Colby's not a guy that's going to blow the ball by you. He relies more on location. Colby's hitting in spots. He's tough to hit.
Here's Valbuena, the Astros leader, with 7 home runs already. He has a career home run against Colby. That's the only hit in 5 trips. Valbuena, interestingly enough, hitting only .211. Had a first inning home run. Last night. Last 5 ball games, though, he has gone downhill offensively a bit, hitting just .158. Good breaking ball from Colby. That's the curveball, and he'll break that out primarily against left-handed pitchers. Against left-handed hitters, I should say. Against right-handers, he's primarily fastball slider, harder breaking ball. 1-2. Couldn't get Valbuena to go upstairs with that one. Colby back to the plate. Now 2-2. Valbuena, a former Chicago Cub infielder. Astros felt they had a need at third. Matt Dominguez, who had been over there for several years trying to develop, couldn't quite get it together well enough. And the Astros felt they were in a pretty good position now with people around him developing. They needed to go a different direction. They have gone with Luis Valbuena for the time being. A lot of the infield on the left side is going to change when they finally decide to bring up Carlos Correa, their top-ranked shortstop prospect in the minor leagues. He still is at Double-A, and there's speculation that he'll go to Triple-A maybe later on this month, and maybe be an option for them All-Star break, maybe a little bit later than that, and that'll change the dynamics on the left side of the diamond.
It really will. He's a fantastic young player, and I think he's, and when I say a little behind schedule, only because he had an injury last year, where an ankle injury that kept him out most of the year. So I think he was really on that track last year to maybe come up the second half or even towards the end of the year. And now he's going to be, I think this year will be the year for him.
Now Colby Lewis gets back-to-back strikeouts, sends the Astros down in order. We finished one in Houston. Rangers nothing and the Astros nothing. Defending American League champion Kansas City Royals will be treated to the first T-shirt giveaway of the season. First 15,000 fans will get a Red Ranger T-shirt. That's courtesy of Dr. Pepper and CVS. Visit TexasRangers.com/tickets, or you can call 972-RANGERS today. Kyle Blank starting off the Rangers' second inning, facing Sam Didino, who misses outside to even the count at a ball and a strike. These are video game numbers for Kyle Blanks right now. Valbuena cuts off that slow chopper, throws out Blanks, one away. Well, if you heard Kyle's comments in the pregame with John Radigan, talked about the quality of swings was important. He won't be happy with that quality of that swing.
No, he won't be.
A little off balance.
Yeah, he's exactly right. You put, more times than not, when you put a good swing on a pitch, on a ball, you're going to do some damage. And that's all guys are really trying to do. Put a good swing on it, and hopefully it finds some grass out there where nobody's standing on the other end of it.
A one out, and here is Carlos Peguero. 184 average. Peguero hit his first Ranger home run in last night's game. And he drives this high and deep to left center field. Up the yellow. Goodbye. Carlos Peguero, an opposite field bolt. And the Rangers lead it 1-0.
Put a charge into that one. That's a long way, the opposite field. Pagero liked what he saw early in the count. And didn't pass on it and didn't miss it. That's putting a good swing on it. That's what Blanks was talking about. Fastball right down the middle. Pagero drives it the other way.
Robinson Chirinos following Pagero, fouls off that first pitch. He had a big cut.
That is a large, very strong man. That
yes, it is.
Halfway up the Schlumberger sign. Wow. There's that sound, bro.
I hate that sound. I jump out of my chair every time I hear that. 1-0 Rangers. Chirinos takes inside. Pagero last night had a 2-run home run in the first inning. Tonight he had to wait till the second inning to get his at bat. A solo blast to get the Rangers on the board. That's a little bit low. 2-1 now to Robinson. Chirinos a 154 average. He has a couple of home runs. 8 RBI this season. Pagero, by the way, now with 2 home runs and 5 RBI. Blowing outside, 3-1. Deduno following the home run by Pagero. Having a little trouble finding that strike zone. Maybe a little bit tentative. Trips up and off, and Chirinos out in front of it. A full count. Robinson hitting 7th in the order. He'll be followed by the Rangers second baseman tonight. That's Adam Rosales. Deduno to the wide. The payoff pitch instead is time called. Now the 3-2. Ball 4. Third walk issued by Deduno here in the first 7 hitters. The Rangers eyeballing quite a few pitches. Making Deduno work, and now Adam Rosales will come up.
The Rangers are being patient but yet aggressive. You saw Pagero take, swing at that first pitch. And Chirinos did the same thing, followed him up and ended up with a walk. Deduno just looks like he's not really wanting to throw a strike after that home run from Pagero.
Well, you can understand. That probably hurt his ears, that sound. Adam Rosales, a 148 average. He hits a line drive, base hit to left center. Over to cut it off is Maristic. Heading for third is Chirinos. He'll be in standing. Well, walk now a single. And the Rangers have runners at the corners for Delino DeShields.
Well, there's that aggressiveness right there. Rosales jumps on the first pitch. Fastball right down the middle of the plate. Down low in his wheelhouse. It's good to see him be aggressive again at the plate. Drills it in the left center field gap. The Rangers are in business. First and third, just one out.
And the last time the Rangers saw Sam Deduno as a starter was 3 years ago in Minnesota, 2012. He gave up 4 runs on 9 hits in 5 1/3 innings. It's the first pitch over to Delino DeShields. DeShields, a 143 average, no home runs, 2 driven in. Last night was his first major league start in center field. Tonight, his second major league start out there. Started 3 other times in left field for the Rangers this year. Tried to bunt, and bunted through it. That was going to be the push attempt for a safety squeeze, possibly.
And what you got to do in that situation there, if you're going to push it, you got to make sure it's going to second base. So you bunt it a little hard, so that first baseman's not charging and comes in and gets it and has a play at the runner coming home from third base. So you've got to make sure that ball gets past the first baseman and past the pitcher out the second.
A little looper foul that will drop untouched. And the count is still 0-2. Well, the Rangers have been doing a lot of extra work prior to the start of batting practice, and part of that extra work was bunting, was working on that play. We had several guys, Delino DeShields among them, working on pushing the ball out towards second, trying to refine the little things of the game. Cut off by Balbuena. The second, they get 1, and that's all they'll get. Coming out of the glove, Altuve had it and then lost it trying to make the throw. But in to score is Robinson Chirinos. And Delino to Shields on the fielder's choice ground out gets an RBI, and the Rangers lead it 2-0.
Nice at bat by DeShields. He put the ball in play with 2 strikes. And as long as he keeps it on the ground, it's going to be very difficult to double him up. I'm not sure that Altuve, even if he was able to make the transfer, had a play on DeShields going down the first baseline. So great at bat by DeShields just to put the ball in play. You don't want to strike out there in that situation with a runner at third base in less than 2 outs.
That's a good point, Mac. And I agree with you. I don't think there's any way in the world they get DeShields on that. Valbuena had to take too long to get to the ball, moving to his left. Not much they could do. So Rangers put a 2 spot on the board here in the second. They're looking for more. And back to the top of the order, Shin-Soo Choo, who struck out to begin things tonight. Back up there for his second at bat. And DeShields, a lot of attention paid to him.
Valbuena gives a little inside throw to Altuve. He does a great job just reaching for it and making the play and staying on the bag all at the same time. Just not able to make the transfer, and really if he had, he wouldn't have had anything on the throw. That's a tough play for a second baseman, receiving that throw. And a lot of third baseman shortstops think that leading that second baseman toward first base is the way to do it. Personally, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think Altuve was really looking for it towards the first side of the bag. You, as a second baseman, you want to be able to make your own decision. At least I did. I wanted to make my own decision on which way I wanted to come across the bag. Because most runners that are coming in to take you out, they're going to go to the inside part of the bag, because that's where a lot of shortstops and third basemen throw the ball for that second baseman.
So you'd want to throw right in the middle of the bag.
Absolutely.
Chest high in the
Chest
middle
high, right in the middle of the bag, and I could decide if I want to come across, if I want to go backwards, or if I want to go towards left field and use the bag, especially in that situation, use the bag as you know, as a shield,
right,
so that runner doesn't take me out.
Drew taking the next pitch high. It's 2 balls and a strike. Shin-Soo 149 with the average at the moment. 2 home runs, 9 driven in. Rangers a couple of runs in this inning, and all got started with Carlos Peguero, an opposite field bomb off of Deduno. A high fly ball to left. That's going to chase Grossman back. He is out in front of the Crawford boxes. Goodbye! There is a Minute Maid Park special as Shin-Soo Choo drops it in the first row of the Crawford boxes for a 2-run home run. The Rangers lead it 4-0.
Wasn't quite the sound that you normally have, but hey, you've got to play the elements. You've got the wind blowing out that way a little bit to left field. He hit it pretty high. You've got the short porch with the Crawford boxes out there in left field. You got to play the elements wherever you are.
Choo with his 3rd home run of the year.
Nice at bat, kept his head right on it, right to the end.
Yeah, I wonder if there was anybody more surprised that that ball went out than Shin-Soo Choo.
I think he might have been taking his helmet off and his gloves off already, coming around first.
He kind of looked at it like, oh, I just flied out to left field after he hit it. His eyes got pretty big. He saw the left fielder Grossman going back to the wall. 0-2 to Elvis. A little looper out into shallow right center field. And Altuve goes out to make the catch. And that'll do it. But the Rangers strike for 4. A couple of long balls. Peguero and then Shin-Soo Choo. Bottom of the second coming up. 4-0 Texas. to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Colby Lewis may have had to get directions out to the mound with a 4 spot on the board, so I must be in the wrong ballpark.
He's not quite used to this run support, especially this early in the ball game.
Glad to have it, and Evan Gattis starts off the second inning by driving a single into right field, a leadoff base hit, first runner of the game for the Astros. And it'll bring up Colby Rasmus.
Gattis has been swinging a pretty hot bat of late. The Rangers have done a pretty good job shutting him down. He's only had 1 hit before that one, so the second hit of the series.
A 1 on, nobody out. Rasmus, a .257 hitter, steps in. 5 home runs, 10 driven in. Rasmus, a guy who's averaged better than 20 home runs a year in his major league career. With St. Louis to Toronto, and now down here in Houston. Playing on a part-time basis down here. In there tonight because George Springer had a collision with the wall in last night's ball game, taking extra bases away from Adrian Beltre. Double play ground ball to Rosales. A bullet over to Elvis, back to Blanks. 4-6-3. The only question was Adam Rosales going to be able to handle that hot shot? He did.
That's a tough play. The ball came up perfectly for him. A lot of times that ball, especially hit that hard, and the infield is still a little moist from the groundskeeper watering it beforehand. Actually hit the grass. So a lot of times that ball can skip, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than get that relay throw from the outfield when it comes back in.
Well played. 4-6-3 on the twin killing. Rangers now have turned 28 or 29 of them this year. The base is empty. 2 away for Chris Carter. Pitch just off the outside corner. Carter hitting 146 with 4 home runs. Or 3 home runs, I should say, and 8 driven in. Colby had it pretty well tied up inside. 1-2 the count. Colby with 2 strikeouts in the first inning. Gave up the leadoff single to Gattis, but then got the double play. Tried to go back in there, and Carter would not offer at it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Speaking of home runs, this guy can generate a little power for you. 37 home runs last year for Chris Carter.
He's your prototypical or your classic power hitter. Not going to hit for a high average, but he can hit you 35, 40 home runs and drive in 100 runs. So he's a throwback. Back to the 70s days when that's what you had. It was all or nothing.
Payoff pitch coming. Have to try it again after that foul ball. Now let's take a look at the Ford leaderboard now. Rangers all time, and Colby moved up the strikeout list. Had 2 in the first inning, so he passed Kevin Brown. And Colby now in 6th place, all by his lonesome. The Ranger all-time strikeout list. Charlie Huff and Bobby Witt up there with better than 1,400. Chris Carter draws a 2-out walk. Jake Maristic will follow. First walk surrendered by Colby. And speaking of that strikeout list, there is the Ryan Express, Nolan Ryan. This is oldest son, Reed, the president of the Astros. Nolan in town part-time. He acts as an advisor to Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros. A 1-on, 2-out. Marisnik, a .351 average, steps to the plate. 3 home runs, 11 RBI. Rangers have done a great job in this series, cooling off the hot Astro hitters. Marisnik most notably among them. He is 0 for 6 in this series. And here's a guy who came in with an 11-game hitting streak active in that first game. Rangers have shut him down. They've also shut down Jose Altuve. Way inside. A ball and a strike. Altuve just 1 for 8 in the series.
Yeah, shutting down Altuve, that's a lot. That's doing a lot. That says a lot. But the Rangers pitchers so far have done a tremendous job of doing that. And they've kept him off balance. You don't typically see Altuve off balance on multiple swings.
Saw the splits for Marisnick, left-handed, right-handed. 442 average against right-handed pitching. For a right-handed hitter, that's doing some work.
It's a little different. Typically, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
You hit that way off of a left-hander.
1-2 pitch. Got in on him, and Marisnick still able to drive it to center, but playable for Delino to shield. That'll do it. No runs, a hit, 1 man left. We have finished 2 at Minute Maid. It's the Rangers 4 and the Astros 0 on Fox Sports Southwest. And very pleased to welcome in the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred. Commissioner, thank you ever so much for coming in and visiting with us. Understand that you're making a rounds of all the clubs as early in the season as you can. How is that going for you?
It's been great. I've been in talking to the players, visiting with the front offices of the clubs that I've been at. I think particularly encouraging, I've had a lot of conversation with the players about the Pace of Game initiative. And the players have been fantastic, really cooperative.
Well, you know, I know Mac and I have been sitting up here talking about that quite a bit in this series, as a matter of fact. It looks like it's been almost a seamless transition, that it's been accepted very well, and apparently getting the results that you all had anticipated.
We're pleased with the early returns, but I think more important than the fact that the numbers look good early on is the players really seem to understand why we're doing it. I think they understand that we proceeded without being overly aggressive, and as a result, it's produced a good level of cooperation.
I've been seeing, obviously the numbers, and to me it seems as though the games have picked up pace, and there really hasn't been anything lost integrity-wise with the game. You don't have pitchers that aren't getting enough repetitions in between innings. How have the staff and fans really responded to this, you think?
I think that this was a fan-driven initiative. I mean, we really got going on Pace of Game. Say to the players in the clubhouse, we didn't sit around a conference room and make up our minds that 2015 was going to be about Pace of Game. But instead, we were listening to fans. We were hearing from people, particularly late in the season last year, that games had gotten long. We crept up over that 3-hour mark in terms of the average game time. And people have responded positively to the effort. I think fans always like it when you're responsive.
I know that one of the things that you spoke to us about in Los Angeles when we had our seminar out there in February was the average age, if you will, of the baseball fan is getting a little bit older, and that's understandable considering the country's getting older. But one of the things about pace of play that you felt was attractive to the younger set was that it kept moving better.
Right. I mean, I think that the game needs to evolve in a way that's consistent with what's happening in the rest of society, always respecting the history and the traditions of the game. And I think this initiative really fits right in that box.
Now, are there any other pace of game initiatives that you guys are considering implementing?
We have a number of things that we experimented with in the Arizona Fall League last year. One that we liked was a 20-second pitch clock for the delivery of in between pitches. We like that enough that we're using it at AA and AAA, but we're going to make a judgment on that after we see how this year goes.
Kyle Blanks, again, solid contact out to center field. Beltray to third, 2 outs. That's been kind of a great proving ground for some of the ideas that you've had the last couple of years, the Arizona League.
Yeah, the Arizona Fall League provides us with a great opportunity. You got guys that are on the cusp of becoming big leaguers. There's not huge crowds. You don't have the same exposure problems that you do if you experiment with something at the big league level. So it really is good for us.
Now you've had the pace of play initiative, which is really getting the results you want initially. You've had the instant replay that has come in. You've kind of fine-tuned that, and that looks to be very well accepted, getting the job done that you wanted. What is an issue that you maybe haven't addressed as well as you'd like to that you feel is important to baseball?
The other issue that we're watching really carefully is offense in the game. Been a lot of commentary, a lot of people looking at numbers, suggesting, offensive trending downward. And we're really not at the point where we're thinking about remedies. What we're looking at is we're trying to decide, do we have a trend that's going to continue over time, or are our great athletes going to adjust and maybe move back in the other direction? But that's one we're watching really carefully.
Trying to decide if this might be the start of a 1968 type of year of the pitcher?
Right. You don't want to, obviously you don't want to act precipitously. Sure. The preferred result would be that the hitters adjust and offense picks up. So we're just trying to decide which direction it's going.
Now, has that really involved talk of the DH coming to the National League?
There was not a lot of talk about the DH in the National League until the Wainwright and Scherzer injuries, and seemed to get that topic hunting out there a little bit. But that was really not part of the discussions on offense. There's a lot of owners in the National League like the National League brand of baseball.
I know you said as you've gone around to each club now, you've gotten a lot of input from players also. Have you been surprised by anything that has been prevalent among the players' suggestions or opinions?
Well, it's interesting. I've gotten some great suggestions from players. I was up in Seattle, and the player said to me, we were talking about pace of game, and he said, we played a 240 game yesterday, and 5 guys got warning letters. How does that make sense? And, he kind of stumped me. I got to tell you the truth. So I went back to New York. I talked to the guys, and in fact, we made some changes in what we're doing with warnings and fines, and as a result, and that's the kind of input you love to get from players. They're out there, they're living it every day, and it's great to have an opportunity to hear their thoughts.
Now, initially there was talk of, it really being in force starting May 1, and I think now it's been pushed back.
That's correct.
What was really behind that decision?
Honestly, it started with the conversation I just referred to. We realized we were getting great cooperation, and it's never been my approach that warnings and fines for the sake of warnings and fines. When you're getting what you want in terms of people working with you, I'd rather stay in that cooperative mode and keep moving forward.
Overall, pretty happy with the health of the game of baseball right now?
I am. I can remember the night after the election in Baltimore, I was riding home back to New York, and I'm thinking, this is kind of like the daily double. I got elected the commissioner of baseball. Then I got thinking about the game, and I'm thinking, not only did I get elected, and I got a game that's really healthy. So, you got to feel fortunate.
The Rangers adding on Chirinos, a double into the left field corner. That's going to score Peguero. And the Rangers putting it on the Astros here in the early going. 2 more in the inning. It's 6-0 in favor of Texas. Got a replay of Robinson Chirinos' 4th double of the year coming up.
You know, leaves one out over the middle of the plate. Robbie just takes it down the third baseline, past the diving Valbuena into the corner, and drives in a large, quick fella. He's a lot faster than what he looks like he is.
Yeah, one more look at it, a little bit different angle.
Just past it. Great try by Valbuena, but Robbie got a hold of it. Hit it pretty good down that line. And Peguero, like I said, is a large man that can really motor. So he scored all the way from first base on that play.
Well, Commissioner, I know that Commissioner Seelig before you talked about the parity or the equality of play throughout baseball. And the Astros are a great example of that, coming from where they've been the last several years to being on top in the American League West. That has to be good for baseball from your standpoint, doesn't it?
When I think about the health of the game, I always start with competitive balance. You think about it, what do we sell? We sell competition on the field. And if you don't have a fair, balanced competition where people in all 30 markets feel like they have a chance, your product suffers. And we have enjoyed great balance in recent years, largely due to changes that we've made in the economic system over certainly the last decade of Commissioner Selig's reign.
You, meaning you, the owners, the commissioner, and the players, are all a partner in this thing, making the rules and abiding by them. Have you had any resistance from the players' side about the competitive balance?
You know, I think players have always been responsive to arguments about competitive balance. I think that, you know, when you talk about money and who's going to split how much money, those are always more difficult conversations because everybody has a view of that world. I think everybody in the game understands that we need to put a product on the field that has competitive balance.
Commissioner, what's been your biggest surprise so far this young season, your first season as commissioner?
Well, I think that the thing that has surprised me the most is how much attention comments that I make garners. Early on, I did an interview with ESPN, and they asked me to talk about sort of outside-the-box ideas, things I might think about down the road, and I mentioned the idea of eliminating defensive shifts. I got so many emails. I got scholarly papers. You won't believe what I got. But, you know, it's great. It shows how much people care about the game, and I hope over time people look at us and they think, you know, look, they're constantly trying to think about the game. They want to make the game better all the time, and they're prepared to be transparent about what they're thinking about.
Great stuff, Commissioner. Thank you very much for stopping by and giving us an update on baseball itself.
All right, it's a pleasure. Tell my friend Mr. Grieve I missed him. Will you
Certainly
please?
will. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Rangers on top 6-0 as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. deals or great inventory. Get amazing seats that are rarely available behind home plate for the May 29th and 30th games against Boston. Visit TexasRangers.com/treasure chest to check out the deals today. Now, one pitch, and Colby Lewis has one out here in the bottom of the third as Jason Castro skies out to Carlos Peguero. And before Robbie Grossman steps in, let's send it back to Aaron Hardigan with a Mazda game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Well, here the Rangers really putting it on the Astros 6-0 after 2.5 innings. Colby Lewis with one out and the base is empty. Fires a strike to Robbie Grossman. It's 1-1. Grossman batting ninth in the Astro order. 146 the average, a home run and 5 driven in. Lines one to left. Peguero on the move. Can't get there. It's one hopping off the wall. Grossman will motor into second with a one-out double. Second Astro hit of the night off of Colby Lewis. First time they've had a runner in scoring position this evening.
Colby leaves this one out over the middle of the plate. Robbie Grossman does a nice job getting the head to it. Hitting in the left center field gap for a double. The Astros' second hit of the night.
No, one on, one out, and the Astros will go back to the top of the order. Jose Altuve. Altuve began things for Houston by grounding to shortstop. 0 for 1 tonight, 1 for 8 in the series against the Rangers. And he pops this one up. Might be playable for Robinson Chirinos. Out number 2. Well, Altuve always aggressive. That time it worked against him, as he fouls out on the first pitch, and will bring up Marwin Gonzalez.
That's a big out right there, getting Altuve. This is one of the best hitters in the league, and the Rangers have kept him in check pretty much all night long. In that situation there with a runner in scoring position out at second base, getting that out was a big out.
Well, it helps Colby, too. You get an out like that right in the middle of what could have been some problems. Keeps your pitch count down, gives you a breath of fresh air, and now you've got 2 out. Gonzalez stepping in, having struck out the first time that he faced Colby. Marwin Gonzalez, a home run, 8 RBI for the season. He is now 2 out of 7 in the Rangers against the Rangers in this series, and he takes ball 1. Brings in a 5-game hitting streak. Does Marwin Gonzalez. Has been almost a 400 hitter over those 5 ball games. Colby's 1-0 pitch. In at the knees. Gonzalez, a switch hitter. Up there from the left side, Ranger fans, and maybe you, Darvish, still have not forgiven Marwin Gonzalez for breaking up that perfect game 3 years ago right here. 26 up, 26 down. First pitch he saw with 2 outs in the 9th inning from Yu Darvish, right back through the wickets for a base hit. And I think the entire state of Texas exhaled.
Yeah, I think after that, Darvish started working on his PFP.
Yeah, he had the worst look on his face. Right back between his legs, and got the glove down. It was just a little bit too late. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Time called momentarily. Chirinos asking for time. Gonzalez, along with the 5-game hitting streak, has hit safely in 13 of his last 15 ball games. 2 balls, 2 strikes now. Rangers 6 runs on 6 hits through the first 3 frames. The Astros no runs on 2 hits against Colby Lewis. Colby has struck out a couple. He's walked 1. Trying to get out of this 3rd inning unscathed. Chopper to first, blanks. Onto the bag, that will do it. The 1-out double by Grossman does no damage. They strand a runner. On to the 4th inning we go. The Rangers 6, the Astros nothing. Rangers take on the defending AL champs, the Kansas City Royals. Come on out to Globe Life Park and enjoy all the ballpark hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or you can call 972-RANGERS. And meanwhile, Delino DeShields taps back to Sam Dedino for the out, 1 gone. Well, Delino 0 for 2, but he drove in a run his first time up with an infield grounder. Got on in the fielder's choice and came around to score. It's been a productive 0 for 2 for Delino DeShields. Now back to the top of the order, Shin-Soo Choo, who homered into the Crawford boxes, the first row of the Crawford boxes, some 320 feet from home plate. One and 0. Choo now tied with Kyle Blanks for the team leadership with 3 home runs. Choo also with the 11 runs driven in. One ball, 1 strike. I'll take you back to that home run that Shin-Soo walked it. I don't believe when he left the box he was convinced that was going to leave the ballpark.
No, I don't think he was convinced either. Thought he was taking his helmet off, thinking it was the last out. Had a fastball up out over the plate and drove it, and he likes to drive the ball the other way.
And his last 3 doubles have all gone that way. And the home run obviously has gone. As a matter of fact, the home run of those 4 balls might have been hit the softest. Gone on strikes here. Pretty good breaking ball from Dedino. He has that power curveball. Racks up his 4th strikeout. 2 gone for Elvis Andrus.
Tough pitch for a lot of left-handers. That back foot slider. It looks good. It looks like it's in your wheelhouse down in the zone, and it's going to curve right into your bat. And all of a sudden, it's down there by your foot.
Trying to untie your shoes for you. Elvis takes a strike. Andrus 0 for 1 tonight. Walked his first time, and in the 2nd inning, popped out to second. 1 ball and 1 strike. And the Ranger offense certainly has shown up in this series. Matter of fact, in the month of May, coming into play tonight, they were hitting .265 as a team. And that may not sound like a lot, but when you consider they were hitting .210 overall, that's pretty good improvement.
Very good improvement. And they've been putting some good at-bats together. You have different guys feeling more and more comfortable in the batter's box, getting their pitch, and when they do get it, they're not missing it. And that's really what it's all about, not missing your pitch when you get it. Typically, you're going to get a pitch, at least one pitch, every at-bat to hit. And it's your job as a hitter not to miss it.
Rusnick lies over to his left to haul in that line drive, and the Rangers, for the first time tonight, go out in 1-2-3 fashion. We finished 3.5 in Houston. Rangers 6, Astros nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. Colby Lewis handling that 6-0 lead that he has. Goes to work against Luis Valbuena to start off the 4th inning. Valbuena, Gaddis, and Erasmus, the first 3 Astros to do the swinging. A rip shot foul by Valbuena. Colby Lewis now with an 0-2 advantage in the count. Valbuena, a strikeout victim, back in the 1st inning. Astros with a couple of hits, a leadoff single by Evan Gaddis in the 2nd, a 1-out double by Robbie Grossman in the 3rd. Just a little bit low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Inning by inning, Colby 15 pitches each of the first 2, just 10 in the 3rd inning.
And very economical with his pitches. And you know, when you have a guy out there who's throwing strikes, and that's exactly what he's doing, he's not trying to strike everybody out. He's letting that defense behind him do its work, pitching to contact.
Yep. 2-2. Left center field. Benito to Shields. Gliding back makes the grab. 1 gone. They're just trying to keep the ball off the good part of the bat as much as possible. That's about it. Our Kubota power stats for tonight. Colby Lewis, 4 career starts in this ballpark and been made 4-0 with a 123 earned run average. Astros have hit a whopping 183 against him. That's it. 3 walks, 29 strikeouts. That 9.67 strikeout to walk ratio, pretty good.
You like that kind of stat? That is pretty good.
I like that. I like that.
Most pitchers and pitching coaches and managers like that.
Gaddis lines one to right. Chew can't get it. It's over his head. And short hops the wall and into second with a 1-out double. Evan Gaddis. Well, he is 2 for 2. Twice he's gone to right field.
Gaddis has been one of the hot Astros coming into this series. Got a pitch out over the plate from Colby. Drove it into right field. Just a little bit higher than what Colby wanted it. Gaddis drives it over Chu's head out and right. That's the second hit of the night, third hit of the series.
I'm not sure Shin-Soo picked that ball up off the bat. He didn't get his customary jump on the ball. So 1 on, 1 out, and Colby Rasmus now. Rasmus hit a rocket his first time up, but Adam Rosales turned it into a double play. Colby drops in that curveball for strike 1. Rasmus, 5 home runs, 10 driven in. This is the first we have seen him in this series. Fouls it out of play. 0-2. Talking about Rasmus, certainly the 11 of 19 hits going for extra bases this year, but 40 home runs since 2013. That puts him 7th among American League outfielders. And you don't normally think of Colby Rasmus as being at the top of that mark, but 7th is pretty good against all American League outfielders.
That is pretty good. The last 3 years, 23, 22, and 18 home runs. He's no stranger to it. At 23 in St. Louis. Back in 2010, so he's a long ball threat for sure.
Colby stepped off the back of the pitching rubber. Now he's back on, looking in for the sign from Robinson Chirinos. Gaddis at the bottom of your screen, and now Robinson's going to go out and say, okay, what it is that you're looking for. I'll see if I have one of those available to me.
Is that a matter of them just getting back on the same page with the game plan? Maybe one of them forgot something or
yeah, normally it's the catcher is usually more on the game plan than a pitcher might be. He usually has that game plan going through his thought process the whole time. Pitchers sometimes get emotionally involved in what just happened or what's happening in the game, and they can kind of stray away from that depending on how they feel. And it's great for a catcher to go out there and not to chew the guy out, but say, okay, what are you thinking? And here's what we had talked about before. Do you want to change that? Just kind of give him a chance to get back grounded, if you will. Pitch in the dirt. And the count is now full to Rasmus. But, a pitcher can get a little extra adrenaline or be feeling a little crummy about how he threw the ball, and he may go away from what they had talked about before the ball game. The catcher needs to know when that happens why he did it. And preferably before the fact instead of after a guy hits a ball out of the ballpark. Robinson flashing out the series of signs, and Colby ready. Payoff pitch on the way. Got him working. Wow. A slider in the back door, and the back door was wide open. And Colby Rasmus could only stand there and become a spectator.
Pretty good pitch by Colby. Pretty sure Rasmus was not looking for that backdoor breaking ball. And there it was. Probably thought it was a little outside, but it's not what the tracker says.
Yep, hang with him. No, that is the 3rd strikeout now for Colby Lewis. And with 2 outs, we'll deal with Chris Carter. Carter a little tardy on that hanging slider. Tom and I always talk about that, Mac. Was the hanging slider something that kind of befuddled you from time to time if it hung up pretty high?
Oh, it always befuddled me. If I hit it, it was pure accidental because I was looking fastball.
Yeah.
Whatever I did, that was my game plan. Get a fastball and don't miss it.
I mean, some guys can see a hanging slider, can recognize it, and have some of the worst swings at it because it doesn't break. And Carter gone very quickly on 3 pitches. The out will be recorded at first, and Colby Lewis again pitching around a 1-out double. Astros to strand 3 runners now. We're going to the 5th inning. Rangers 6, Astros nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. And it's brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. 9 players have had their uniform number retired by multiple teams. Nolan Ryan, right there in your picture, has had his number retired by 3 teams. And the other 8 are Hank Aaron, Rod Carew, Raleigh Fingers, Carlton Fisk, Reggie Jackson, and company. And, of course, Jackie Robinson, Greg Maddux, and Frank Robinson all on there.
That's pretty impressive. Multiple teams.
Multiple teams.
Nolan with 3 of them.
The Angels, the Astros, and the Rangers, I believe, are the 3 that Nolan has had his retired by.
Yeah.
And as soon as the Mets figured out, they'll retire it too. Hey, he was with us originally. Now Prince Fielder with a base hit, and now Adrian Beltre take it inside for ball 1. Adrian in a gapper left center field for a double, or right center field I should say, for a double. His last time up, he is 1 for 2 tonight. Batting average continuing to climb. Adrian doing a lot of good work offensively lately. Low and inside. Adrian Beltre had a little slip. Now, you know, we saw it last night. Blinard Shields had a little slip out on the warning track. Apparently, the same guy, and Adrian's going to plug that gap and stop me from telling this story. Gritz will stop at second, Beltre on at first. Apparently, the guy who greased up the warning track last night greased up home plate when Adrian was coming in there to step on it.
Yes, he did. They've got to find that guy. But I do know one thing. There's probably going to be a fine involved. And then I also know that he heard it once he got to that dugout. They're going to find the judge in kangaroo court. Somebody's going to do it, and that somebody's more than likely going to be Elvis or Prince.
I would imagine when... Let me see. Yeah.
There you go.
Don't you know that Prince had to be there, and Elvis was not too far behind wherever he was. There's a base hit to left field by Kyle Blanks. Gritz will stop at third, and the Rangers now 3 consecutive singles to open up the 5th inning. Fielder with a single, Beltre with a single, Blanks with a single. Well, Blanks now 1 out of 3 in our T-Mobile game changers. Subject Kyle Blanks. Last 4 ball games, Kyle Blanks has just gone 8 for 16. That's only a 500 average. 2 home runs, 4 RBI, 1 stolen base. On base plus slugging of 1493. That was the year after Columbus got here. Rangers 3-1 in the last 4. You know, anytime you have an OPS, it's a historical date. That's pretty important.
That is very important.
In the 15th or 16th century.
He's come up with some big hits, not just the bomb. He
yeah.
drove a ball to center field and if they were anywhere else, that ball would have been out of the ballpark.
The base is full, and Carlos Peguero is having quite a night. He is 2 for 2, a home run and a single. He was thinking about 4 more RBI on that swing. Nothing in 2 the count.
He's trying to hit himself up there on the scoreboard.
Well, he's capable.
I think he is.
Yeah, he's capable. They do know a high set, and Peguero able to check his swing on that breaking ball in the dirt. There he is. High above the right field seats. All that's missing is that little sign says hit it here. Hit me here, and I run around the bases. Towering fly ball to center. Marisnik spinning around as the wind has it a little bit. Tagging at third, coming in to score as fielder. Everybody else advanced 90 feet also. And Carlos Peguero with a monster sacrifice fly makes it a 7-0 Ranger lead. His second RBI of the night.
Great at bat by Peguero. Got behind 0-2. Took a couple of tough pitches down in the dirt, and then got the job done with a sacrifice fly. You saw the wind come into play there with that ball go up. see Marisnik break to his left, and now he's going to go about 10 feet to the right. Makes the play, and then everybody moves up. Great heads-up play by Blanks at first. Getting back to first base and tagging, and then getting down to second base, and now we've got 2 runners in scoring position once again.
A breaking ball into Robinson Chirinos. First strike one. Chirinos, perfect evening. A walk and a double, an RBI. He has scored a run. Robinson with that average on the march upward at 170 at the moment. 1 ball and 1 strike. You know, I would think that for the outfielders for the Astros, this might be as difficult as a visiting player coming in here, judging the elements. They don't play with the wind blowing at Minute Maid Park all that often.
No, you're right. You know, they're probably not as familiar as you would think, even though this is their home ballpark.
Chirinos a drive to left field. That is going to be to the wall. Beltre will score. Right behind him, Kyle Blanks. Chirinos in at second. His second double of the night, a 2-run blast. And the Rangers lead it 9-0. Well, the offense made the trip down I-45. And it has exploded the last 2 nights. Brent Strom on his way out to slow things down for Sam Deduno.
Robbie gets a hanging breaking ball out over the middle of the plate. And he looks like he was looking for it. And drills it in the left center field gap. Picks up 2 big RBIs. Again, you've got to give Blanks credit for getting out there, getting down to second base on that sac fly by Peguero.
Well, the natives getting a little restless here at Minute Maid Park. The Bluebirds had come out. Brent Strom back to the dugout and just getting a little bit of action going in the Astro bullpen. Nobody's up and actively throwing yet. A lot of stretching going on. Now Rosales, first ball swinging down the right field line. Altuve a long way to go, and he can't hang on to it in foul territory. Altuve had to run about 40 yards after that thing. He was just worn out by the time he got there.
Save start just shaded up the middle just a little bit. Takes a look at his right fielder Rasmus. He's the only one who could make the play. Ball kind of goes off of his glove there. Lunges at the last minute, and a lot of that could be, again, the wind could be coming into play right there. That ball was hit pretty high.
Now on 1 to Rosales. Adam 1 out of 2 tonight. A single and a strikeout. Altuve will handle that on to first, staying at second. Chirinos. 2 gone, and Delino to Shields will come up. And there will be some action ready. It looks like Joe Thatcher out there, who we saw last night, starting to loosen. Might not have been able to get anybody to answer the bullpen phone down there.
Might not. The way the Rangers are swinging the bat.
Yeah, I'm not going in there. Crazy. The Rangers 9 runs on 10 hits tonight. And Delino DeShields takes inside for ball 1. DeShields 0 for 2, but he has driven in a run and scored a run. Deduno, a check of Chirinos. And up the middle, base hit for DeShields. Chirinos coming around third. The throw by Marisnik is late. And the Rangers have put double figures on the board. They lead 10-0. Delino DeShields with his 4th RBI, his 2nd tonight. Boy, isn't baseball a fickle thing? This is a ball club in the Houston Astros that came into this series leading baseball, leading the American League in record. They had a 10-game winning streak, outscoring everybody. They were scoring almost 8 runs a game in that streak, giving up 3 runs a game. They come in here against the Rangers, who were struggling mightily. They had Dallas Keuchel on the hill the first game. Rangers win it in a squeaker 2-1, and then the floodgates open. And a team that was a 10 straight win team is getting booed at home.
That's baseball.
Yeah, it sure is.
You really just can't explain it. on paper, it looked like a mismatch.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yep.
But that's why you play the games.
A.J. Hinch going out there. That's going to do it for Sam Didino, who can't make it through 5 innings against the Rangers. Same story as his last start 3 years ago against Texas. Pitch and change underway. We'll be right back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Nick Martinez, back in his home state, will take on Chris Archer. Archer off to a good start at 3-3 with a fine 164 ERA. And of course, Nick Martinez, a microscopic 0.84 earned run average. We'll be with you at 6 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest, the first of 4 from Florida. Well, Joe Thatcher, side-wheeling left-hander, 33-year-old on now. Saw him last night. He worked the 9th inning against the Rangers and had a couple of strikeouts in last night's game. He will face Shin-Soo Choo with Delino DeShields at first. 4 runs across here in the 5th inning, and Choo takes ball 1. Rangers, including tonight, 33 runs scored in the last 6 games. Previous 6 games, about a dozen.
I can't explain it.
No.
Obviously, they figured something out. But that's why you play the games.
Yeah.
You're playing one way one week, and the next week it could be something totally different. Actually, it can go day to day.
One and two to Choo.
Yeah, as we see with both teams, coming here in the Astros at 110 in a row. The Rangers hadn't been playing all that well. They dropped 3 in a row, and now the fortunes have changed.
Yeah, if you were a betting person on Monday night in here with Dallas Keuchel throwing, Astros have won 10 in a row. No way you could get a bet down reasonable odds if you were a betting person. Choo takes call strike 3, and that'll do it. But the Rangers put 4 more on the board. We played half the ball game. It's the Rangers 10, the Astros nothing. Half price when purchased online thanks to Ozarka. The perfect time to take care of this great offer is Tuesday, May 12th. The Rangers play the Royals. Get your tickets online at texasrangers.com/specials using the online coupon code Ozarka. Bottom third of the Astro order to face Colby Lewis here in the 5th inning. Jake Marisnick takes strike one. Marisnick, a fly ball to center his first time up. Colby Lewis, 56 pitches through the first 4 innings. And he has gotten out in front of Marisnick now. A ball and 2 strikes. Marisnick, Castro, and Grossman. First 3 to face Colby.
Colby's done a great job of getting ahead of hitters and an even better job of finishing them off.
Could get Marisnick to offer. There's one thing that you know about Colby, that whether it's a 1-0 game or a 10-0 game, he knows what to do with it.
He does.
The experience that he has, he's been virtually in any kind of a situation you want to try. And when he gets that slider going, not too many right-handers have a chance. So 1 out. That is 3 consecutive strikeouts for Colby Lewis. And let's send it back to Aaron Hardigan for a Mazda game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Jason Castro went down on 1 pitch his first time up. And he hits this one in the air to left center. He's going to go down on 2 pitches tonight. Twice. Out number 2.
When you're facing a guy like Colby Lewis that's throwing strikes and he's around the plate, likes to get ahead, we talked about it the other night, you don't want to sit there and just, take pitch after pitch. Because when a pitcher is hitting his spots and executing pitches, it's tough to go up there knowing you're going to be 0-2 every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you would probably figure that your best chance to get a pitch in the middle of the plate or somewhere in there is in the first pitch or 2. Bobby Grossman takes strike 1. Grossman doubled to left back in the 3rd inning. One of just 3 hits against Colby Lewis tonight. That is chopped foul, and there's your 0-2 count again. Well, our DraftKings players to watch. Nelly Cruz tonight. Later on against the Angels, Victor Martinez tonight. A home run and 3 runs driven in. How about Adrian Beltre? 2 for 3. He has gotten it going. A couple of runs scored also. And Starlin Castro of the Cubs tonight. 1 for 2 with an RBI. Go to DraftKings.com and enter promo code DTOWN. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Grossman a 167 average now after that double his first time up. Colby to the wind. And gets called strike 3. Grossman didn't think so, but he's calming down now. He still struck out looking. 6 punch outs for Colby Lewis through the first 5 innings. He and the Rangers lead the Astros 10-0 as we head to the 6th. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $400 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Chris Lowe from Southlake. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Chris Lowe from Southlake will win $25,000 and have a whole bunch of new friends. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Joe Thatcher back to the hill. Thatcher came on to get the final out of the fifth inning. And now he will face Elvis Andrus to start off the sixth. Elvis 0 for 2 tonight. Although he has hit the ball hard last time, he lined to center. Walk back in the first. Rangers 10 runs on 11 hits. To right field, Rasmus. One gone. Next will be Prince Fielder.
He's kind of got jammed on that one. They're trying to go the other way with it, but waited back just a little bit too long.
Prince Fielder had a base hit starting off the fifth inning. Came around to score. Rangers have had 2 innings tonight where they have put up 4 runs each. 4 in the second and 4 in the fifth. Also added 2 in the third inning. So it has been an ongoing offensive saga for them this evening. 1 ball, no strikes. Fielder among the American League elite in hitting this year. Tied with Jose Altuve for the league lead in multi-hit games. Both of them have 13. And Prince looking for number 14 here. He was looking for downtown Conroe on that swing.
He was trying to get 2 home runs in that swing.
You know, with the advanced statistical measurements now, they could probably do that, where the further you hit, the more runs you get. I'm surprised they haven't decided to do that somehow.
I think some pitchers would probably have take issue with that. You think?
Well, then you could give a guy an extra strike or 2 if you threw it by somebody with. Figure out some way to get even.
Of course.
2-1 pitch. Now 2-2. Prince also among league leaders. He came in tied for third with 36 hits. And his average, 350 starting the game, was good for 7th. It's also among the most difficult to strike out in the American League, which would belie the fact that he hits for pretty good power. Still 2-2. Prince now with a 6-game hitting streak after his single in the 5th inning. Both he and Shin-Soo Choo have extended their 5-game hitting streaks by 1. Castro flashing the signs out to Thatcher. High in the air to left. This is not deep enough to get the Crawford boxes. Grossman has it. Out number 2. And that'll bring up Adrian Beltre. Beltre, a pair of hits tonight. Doubled and scored in the 3rd. Singled and scored in the 5th. Adrian getting things going back the right way. He's now increased his hitting streak to a modest 3 games. But you go back over the last 10 ball games, and he's hitting right at 300. Nothing in 1.
His average has started to creep up. He's been swinging the bat well the last couple of weeks. The home runs haven't been there yet, but those will come as well, along with those RBIs, especially with all the guys in front of him that are getting on base now.
Yeah, people were saying about he and Prince Fielder, well, he's not driving in any runs, even though Fielder was hitting, 350, 360. Difficult to drive in runs if nobody's on base.
Absolutely. The only way the big fellas eat is if there's food out there.
Yeah,
and
right.
That means you got to get number 1 or number 2, or after that starts, the 9 guy out there. You got to get somebody on base, and if there's nobody out there, you're not going to be eating a whole lot.
The Rangers tonight have done a pretty good job of setting the table for the big guys. And it's been up and down the order tonight, too. That's the impressive thing. Something the Rangers were having a difficult time doing. They were having trouble getting two guys in the lineup any place that were hot at the same time.
Yeah, you really like to see a long lineup like that, a long, deep lineup where it's not just one or two guys that you're relying on every day. Everybody in that lineup is capable of doing some damage, and they spread it out. And that's what you like to see.
A ball and 2 strikes to Beltre. Bases empty, 2 away. We're in the top of the 6th inning. That's out of play to the right. Beltre has hit one about eye high away from him, foul to the right side. He just plucked one to the left side down on his shoe top. His strike zone, you talk about expanding a strike zone. Beltre's got a strike zone that has to be about 25 square feet.
It doesn't seem like he can throw a ball too far outside to him.
Look at that.
Or inside, for that matter.
If he hadn't hit that, it might have hit him in the chest. After coming up and in. Wow. Richard Hoggy Price, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. He was one happy man. I know it doesn't look like there, but he was one happy man yesterday. Celebrated with a 7-1 Ranger win last night. Happy birthday a day late. This ball hit well to center field. Marisnik retreating, going back near the wall and reaches out, can't make the play. Beltre is not stopping at second. He is going to motor into third with a triple. That's some 415 feet away from home plate. Marisnik almost made a circus catch.
That was an incredible effort by Marisnik out there in center field. He ran one down earlier that Blanks hit, but Beltre got a pitch out over the middle of the plate up in the zone, and he put a charge into that one. Most ballparks, that's out of here. See Marisnik making the adjustment off the heel of his glove. He was there. Just couldn't pull it in.
Well, that's covering a lot of ground, and that's getting as close as you possibly can. What did he run, about 40 yards or so, 35 yards?
Every bit of that.
That's a long way. Now Kyle Blank's first ball swinging will line out to Marisnik, and that will do it. Well, Beltre gets a triple. He's got 3 legs of the cycle now under his belt. Rangers are gone, and after 5.5, 10-0 Texas. 29th on your calendar because the Rangers have added a post-game fireworks show to follow the game against the Boston Red Sox on the 29th. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS to get your tickets today. Just added a post-game fireworks show. That is new on the promotion schedule. Colby Lewis to the hill, and he fires a strike to Jose Altuve. Lewis facing the top of the Astros order in the 6th inning. Altuve 0 for 2 and 1 for 9 in the series. 2 balls and a strike. Next pitch for Colby will be number 70 this evening. Very modest pitch count for the big right-hander. 2-1 pitch. Elvis gobbles that up and throws out Altuve. And the Rangers keep Altuve in the refrigerator.
Nice job of pitching by Colby, not really giving Altuve anything good to hit all night long. Jammed him once, got to pop up. Popping up to the catcher, and that's a second ground ball. He's hitting Elvis at shortstop, and he got him played perfectly.
1 away, Marwin Gonzalez will be next. Gonzalez tonight has struck out and grounded to Kyle Blanks down at first base. Towering fly ball to right field. Chu ambling back right at the edge of the warning track. That is out number 2. And let's take a look at our AT&T U-verse rewind. It would be 2 years ago we talked about it. Marwin Gonzalez, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning. Yu Darvish had retired the first 26 in a row down here in Houston. The second ball game of the season, and Marwin Gonzalez, on the first pitch he saw on that at bat, right back through the wickets. And you saw Yu's reaction. Why don't you have somebody out here that could field the ball? Oh, that was me. I forgot.
Well, did you have any one-hitters?
No. No, sure didn't.
Wow. Can't imagine what that would feel like if you get that close and get right there and give up one.
Yeah. Didn't AAA did that, but not in the major leagues. No balls and 2 strikes to Luis Valbuena. Colby 74 pitches, 49 strikes tonight. The 1-2 offering. Slice to left field, Peguero toward the line. A 1-2-3 inning. Colby Lewis now has retired the last 8 straight that he has faced. We're going to the 7th inning. Rangers leading 10-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. Peguero again, going the other way, a monster home run. That put the Rangers on top 1-0. Then Shin-Soo Choo, not long after, a 2-run shot into the Crawford boxes. And the Ranger offense was off and running. Meanwhile, Colby Lewis, 6 shutout innings, just 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. And Colby putting it all together again against the Astros. The Rangers getting the brooms out. They are looking for the sweep. Rangers have scored in 3 different innings. Crooked numbers in all 3 of them. Meanwhile, nothing but goose eggs up there for the Astros. And as we head to the top of the 7th inning, the new pitcher on the hill for the Houston Astros will be right-hander Will Harris. Harris appearing in his 11th game. Harris will work to Carlos Peguero to start things off. Inside and low for ball 1. Will Harris of the very good. Got to tell you that Jonathan Villar is playing second base now instead of Jose Altuve. Altuve getting the rest of the night off. Will Harris has a streak going, consecutive scoreless inning streak that has now reached 28 2/3 consecutive and 26 appearances. It's the longest active streak in the majors, just ahead of Aroldis Chapman. Two balls, 1 strike to Peguero. Perfect night for Peguero. 2 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. Now 2-2. The Rangers 10 runs on 12 hits tonight. Majority of the damage against Sam Deduno, the starter. 4 2/3 for Deduno. 11 hits, all 10 runs on his ledger. 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's going the other way and deep. Looking up is Grossman. Good ball. Peguero to the back of the Crawford boxes, his 2nd home run of the night. And the Rangers lead it 11-0. And Will Harris' scoreless streak has just come to a crashing end. Another bullet the other way by Peguero.
Wow. I love what these Rangers hitters are doing, taking the ball the other way, especially with the big ball. But they're not trying to pull everything. They're not just sitting and spinning. They're driving the ball the opposite way. And Peguero gets a backdoor breaking ball and drives it. They had Crawford box out there in left field for a 2nd home run of the night. Put together a pretty solid evening.
So all 3 of the Ranger home runs have gone that way by left-handed hitters. Peguero with 2 and Choo with 1. That's pretty close to that sound.
Close enough.
Yeah. 1-1 pitch to Chirinos. He is on the outside corner. Well, Carlos Peguero now tied for the team lead with 3 home runs. Kyle Blanks and Shin-Soo Choo all sharing. Chirinos down on strikes for the first out here in the 7th.
Chirinos makes his first out of the night. He's had a couple of doubles, couple of RBIs, and a walk.
Here's Rosales, and he takes a strike on the outside corner.
The Rangers hitters have been pretty aggressive tonight at the plate. To get that first pitch, especially if it's a fastball in a happy area, they're letting it go, and they're not missing them.
1-1 to Rosales. Everybody in the lineup, with the exception of Elvis Andrus, has had at least 1 hit tonight. Elvis drew a walk in the first, and he's the only one with no safety. Villar diving, comes up with it, scrambles to his feet, and throws out Adam Rosales. Nice play by Jonathan Villar.
Villar in there for Altuve, going to his left. He hit that ball off the end of the bat. Yeah, makes a nice play. A couple feet out there on the outfield grass. Gets up. There's a bullet over there first.
Well, 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Delino to Shields. Big strike 1. Delino 1 for 3. Rosales said, wait a minute, we're ahead. You could just let that ball go, couldn't you? I could use the hit.
That's what you tell him every now and then.
A ball and a strike to DeShields. Delino singled in the 5th inning, driving in his 2nd run of the night. He has doubled his RBI total for the year. He's now up to 4. One ball and 2 strikes. DeShields with the average sitting at 167. That's a bit high. When asked today about the status of Leonys Martin, Jeff Banish was not evasive, but he said, look, we just don't know at the moment. You know, it just depends on how Leonys reacts to the therapy that he's going through, the exercises, the stretching the ice and things like that. He said he could be fine in a day or 2, and as of right now, he's not. And the appeal down to first, and Delino Shields not fine. He's just struck out. Well, 7th comes to an end for the Rangers, but Carlos Peguero with a leadoff home run gets the Rangers on the board again. His 2nd round tripper of the night. It's stretch time at Minute Maid. Rangers 11, Astros nothing. Service is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Visit MLB.tv for details. Now Colby Lewis back out for the bottom of the 7th. 0-1 the count to Evan Gattis. Gattis has solved Lewis tonight by going the other way. He is 2 for 2, a single and a double to right field. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gattis has 2 of the 3 hits that Colby has allowed. The other, a 1-out double by Robbie Grossman back in the 3rd inning. In the air to center field, Delino Shields patrolling that vast area here at Minute Maid Park. 1 out. And before Colby Rasmus steps in, let's send it back to Aaron Hardigan with the Mazda game break. All right, Aaron, thank you. Here it's been all Rangers all night. 11-0 Texas. They have out-hit the Astros 13-3, make that 13-4 as Colby Rasmus gets the one-out single on the first pitch he sees here in the 7th inning.
Rasmus, to me, is just a hitter that flies under the radar. Anybody with that kind of power that hits 18 or 22 home runs every year is a dangerous hitter.
You've got to be a pretty good hitter to swing the way he does and hit that many home runs and do one thing well, and that's pull the ball.
Right.
I think guys would figure it out and make it tough for him, but they haven't yet. Chris Carter lofts a fly ball to right. Not wasting any time. Chu for the second out. Well, while we have a second here, we'd like to invite you to join the Texas Rangers players and coaches and alumni for the Park Place dealerships Texas Ranger Triple Play Game Show Spectacular. This year will be a big top bash on Sunday, May 17th at the Hilton Anatole. Proceeds benefit the Texas Ranger Baseball Foundation. To purchase tickets or for more information, visit TexasRangers.com/triple play, or you can call 817-436-5933. Well, Hank Conger has come off the Astro bench to pinch hit, and he goes after the first pitch. Grounds out to Adam Rosales. Oh, Colby Lewis, what did he have, about 5 pitches that inning? I think he got the 3 outs quickly, gave up a hit. We'll go to the 8th inning, 11-0 Texas. Here with the Astros, and looks like they'll finish with a sweep. On to Tampa Bay for 4 beginning tomorrow night. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon before coming home to take on the Kansas City Royals. First of 4 beginning on Monday, and then the Cleveland Indians finish out the week. Then it's back on the road for the Rangers after an off day on the 18th. But the way this road trip has started out, you kind of like the way they've got things going right now. They are looking at climbing over the 500 mark away from home. They came in at 7-7 away from Globe Life Park tonight. And with an 11-0 lead, I kind of like their chances. Shin-Soo Choo starting out here in the 8th inning for the Rangers. He fouls off that first pitch for strike 1. Choo is 1 for 4 at the opposite field 2-run home run. Some defensive changes for you. Hank Conger stays in the ball game and plays in left field. Outfield switching around just a little bit. Chu taps one up the middle. Shortstop Gonzalez handles that. And the rest of the changes for you. Colby Rasmus moves from right into center field. Takes over there for Marisnik. And moving from left to right is Robbie Grossman. So 2 out, 1 gone for Elvis. Andrus 0 for 3. As you mentioned, he is the only Ranger in the lineup that has not had at least 1 hit tonight. Strike 1. Just got word that the Astros have put George Springer on the 7-day concussion disabled list after a battery of tests they put him through last night and today. They determined that the concussion DL was the spot for him. And Springer on there. Preston Tucker has been called up from Fresno to take his spot on the roster. Watching that play last night unfold, I'm amazed it was only a concussion. As hard as he hit the padding out there in that wall.
Absolutely. You know, and people think, okay, there's padding out there, but there's concrete behind that padding, and it's not very thick. And Springer, number 1, wow. A big kid, and he can fly.
Yeah.
So he's running full speed, and his face is the first thing that hit that wall out there in right field. A tremendous play. I'm surprised he hung on to it, but even more surprised that he was able to get up and walk away, run back into the dugout.
Exactly. He was very fortunate. I think that it wasn't, a neck problem, or looking at that too, maybe a shoulder problem because he ran into his shoulder.
Right. I mean, any part of his body, because his entire body ended up hitting that wall. So it could have been a wrist, it could have been a knee, an ankle, a foot.
Right. It sure was a great play, but he was a very fortunate young man. With chops and foul. So he's on the 7-day concussion disabled list. That's one of the best things I've seen come along in baseball for quite a while, that DL. Yeah,
that is nice. There's some injuries that don't require you to be on there 15 days. And 7, I think, in some instances, is good.
Get guys away from even thinking about being active for a day or two. Well, without that disabled list, a concussion might not put you out of action, like you're saying, back for the full 15 days. And as a result, you might rush yourself back into action when you shouldn't be.
Right.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Andrus. That was the walk in the first inning. Since then, he's popped out, lined out, and flied out. Up the middle, but right to Will Harris. A little underhand flip. Elvis now 0 for 4 as he makes the U-turn at first. And we'll bring up Prince Fielder. He will not bring up Prince Fielder. Instead, it'll be Jake Smolinski coming off the bench to pinch hit. So Prince will retire 1 for 3 tonight. A single and a walk and a run scored. And Jake Smolinski getting an opportunity to have an at-bat here tonight. Jake hitting at 146, a home run and 5 driven in. There's Prince enjoying the rest of the ball game from the Ranger dugout. Nothing in 1. Jake 1 for 3 in the opener of this series. He had the game-tying RBI in the 8th inning against Dallas Keuchel on Monday night. Drove in Delino to Shields. Rangers would go on and score 1 more in the 9th to come away with a 2-1 victory in the opener. And then it has been open the floodgates. Smolinski turns on one and rips it down the left field line, but it's well foul. That had home run depth a couple of times. He has pulled that trigger a shade early. 1 and 2. Harris with the belt high set. We'll try the 1-2 pitch again. Now, Jake has had 16 starts in the Rangers' 27 games this year, mostly in left field. He's been able to reach base despite the average not being where he'd like it. Still has gotten on base 11 of the last 15 games, and he's had a plate appearance, either by a hit or a walk. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jake, a career .333 hitter against the Astros, 10 for 30. Harris with the next pitch. Jake didn't mean to do it, couldn't get the bat back out of the way, and the count remains even.
Jake is one of the Ranger hitters that's trying to find that rhythm as well. He's gotten off to a slow start. He came up with a big hit Monday night. The game-time single that drove in Delino Shields from second. Sometimes that's all it takes just to get that one hit, whether it's a blooper, a line drive, home run, a dribbler, a bunt. It just takes that one hit sometimes, that first hit, to get you back on track.
Well, he had a pitch up to work with and fouled it straight back. Echo pitch tracker showing you that up above the top of the strike zone by a few inches. Why does that pitch up there make a hitter's eyes light? I think he can get on top of that. Smolinski, we'll talk about that another time. Jake gone on strikes, a 1-2-3 inning for Will Harris. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Rangers by 11 down here in Houston. He's 11 runs on 13 hits. Meanwhile, Colby has done his part. How about 7 shutout innings, just 4 hits allowed, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. And he's going to work in the 8th inning. Jason Castro takes high for ball 1.
And all that with 81 pitches.
Yeah, look at the inning by inning. He's gotten better as the game has gone on. Only 6 pitches in the 7th, 9 in the 6th. And that's going to be a fair ball into the right field corner for extra bases. Jew over to dig it out. Castro will check in at second with the leadoff 2-bagger. Well, the 5th hit of the night against Colby Lewis, and 3 of them have been extra base hits, 3 doubles.
Got a fastball up, one of the few mistakes Colby's made. Castro drills it into the right field down the line for a double. You know, the hits that he's given up, the extra base hits, is really, he's been able to strand those runners out there and not let them come around to score. So he's been making pitches when he needs to make them.
Now here's Robbie Grossman. Grossman tonight has one of those 2 other doubles, one of the 3 doubles total. He's also struck out. Grossman batting at 163 as Lewis throws to him. And a ground ball will get Castro over to third. Rosales throws out Grossman. So Castro at third now with one out. And Jonathan Villar will come up for his first at bat. Now this ties the longest outing of the year for Colby Lewis. He also went 7 1/3 against the Astros back on April the 12th at home. That was a ball game that he left trailing by a 4-2 score. Rangers ended up losing in 14 innings on that finale of that 3-game stand in Arlington. Here, different story. And there's a base hit to center for Villar. That will bust the shutout up. As Castro scores, Villar with the RBI single. It's 11-1 Rangers.
Villar wasted no time. He had a breaking ball out over the middle of the plate. Little slider, didn't have much slide to it. Villar jumps on it, drives in the first run for the Astros tonight.
And for the Astros, that's the first hit they've had with a runner in scoring position in this series. They had gone now 1 for 12. By comparison, the Rangers have gone 10 for 30. 30 at bats with runners in scoring position for the Rangers, and that's not only had they been struggling getting hits in those situations, they'd had struggles getting in those situations. Much less getting hits.
30 runners in scoring position, 30 chances. That's pretty good.
Marwin Gonzalez 0 for 3 tonight. A fly ball, a ground ball, and a strikeout. Astros now with a run on 6 hits against Colby. Villar, the runner at first, not being held on. And it could be a double play. Rosales to the bag, a low throw, scooped out by Kyle Blanks for the double play. A 4-3 twin killing. And Colby Lewis has his longest outing of the year. He has completed 8. Astros score, but it's 11-1 Rangers.
Rangers have done a great job offensively, but what a job by Colby Lewis. In fact, back-to-back great pitching performances by Colby Lewis, including tonight, will improve to 5-0 at Minute Maid Park. Speaking of great pitching, how about the pitching matchup tomorrow night as the Rangers are headed to South Florida, actually to Central Florida, where they will take on the Rays and Chris Archer, who's 4th in the American League in ERA, against the guy who is number 2 in the AL. That would be Nick Martinez. It's all tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. 5:30 for Rangers Live. It's all brought to you by AT&T U-verse. There's Colby. Back to you, Buzz and Mac.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, Colby looks to be Well, sitting next to Mike Maddox, looks to be finished for the evening, possibly. I say possibly. Spencer Patton loosening in the Ranger bullpen just in case. But now we get down to what's happening between the white lines. It's Tony Sipp out of the Astros bullpen to take over and pitch the ninth against the Rangers. And Adrian Beltre, first ball swinging, skies to right field. It's Robbie Grossman to handle it. One pitch and one away in the Ranger ninth. Well, Beltre, who had 3 of the 4 legs for the cycle, needed just the home run, and Adrian couldn't quite come up with that against Tony Sipp. Sipp, a 31-year-old left-handed veteran reliever from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Angel fans will remember Sipp for his good work for several years with the Cleveland Indians from 2009 through 2012. Fires a strike to Kyle Blanks, who is 1 for 4. Blanks a single and a run scored back in the 5th inning. There's that Sipp changeup, and he's got a dandy.
Having a pretty good year. Gave up his first run Sunday against Seattle all year long. ERA is microscopic, 0.73.
The Astros have assembled a very decent bullpen. It's much improved over last year with the addition of Pat Neshek and Luke Gregerson. Gregerson has taken over the closer duties, and throw Tony Sipp in there. They've got some guys from both sides that can pitch late in ball games. They've been there, they've done that. Chad Qualls fits in there too, and they get the job done. No balls, 2 strikes to Blanks. Now 1-2. Sipp last year here in Houston, 56 appearances, worked 50 innings, went 4-3 for the Astros. He allowed just 28 hits in those 50 innings. 2-hopper to third base. Valbuena triggers the throw. Out number 2. Next will be Carlos Peguero. Peguero, a big night, a pair of home runs, a single in the 3rd in which he came around to score, and a sacrifice fly. So he has driven in 3. He is 3 for 3. His 2nd career multiple home run game.
Got a lot of 3s going on in that box score.
A lot of trays. He's trying to turn a couple of those 3s into 4s. That swing. All of them. And both homers tonight have gone the other way. Off Sam DeDuno, high up off the signage out there. And then off Will Harris to the back of the Crawford boxes. That is just raw power.
That's ridiculous.
Down to the count here, 0-2. That's the kind of thing that makes teams salivate when they see Carlos Peguero do things like that. He'd done it for a couple of springs, especially with Seattle. And people said, oh, you know, we've got ourselves not a diamond in the rough. We got the real thing. And couldn't transfer it into the regular season. Go down to the minor leagues and hit 25, 30 home runs. Couldn't bring it up from AAA to the big leagues. Call strike 3. Sipp gets the strikeout, works a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 ninth. Rangers gone, but bottom of the ninth coming up, the Astros trailing 11-1. is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T Uverse TV. Uverse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Now, bottom of the ninth inning, and Colby Lewis' night is indeed finished. 8 innings work. Colby, his longest outing of the year. And he gives way to Spencer Patton, making his 2015 debut with the Rangers. Patton just called up from AAA Round Rock. He was throwing very well down there in 8 outings for Round Rock. He had an ERA of 0.96. Had a couple of save opportunities, converted those. There's a little bit of a defensive switch behind him. We'll fill you in on those in just a second. Luis Valbuena leading off and takes low and outside for ball 1. Rougned Odor is coming to the ball game to take over at second base with Adam Rosales moving off of second over to third base. Adrian Beltre out of the ball game, so Rosales at the hot corner now playing in the ninth inning. Valbuena tonight 0 for 3. He has struck out and twice he has flied out. Patton missing low. It's 3 balls and no strikes. Spencer, a 27-year-old out of Urbana, Illinois. Originally the property of the Kansas City Royals. They came over here in the trade that last mid-season. Jason Frazier over to the Royals. Spencer lost Valbuena on the leadoff walk. So Valbuena aboard and Evan Gattis coming up. Gattis 2 for 3 tonight. A single, a double, and a fly ball to center. High and tight. 1 ball, no strikes. Spencer Patton, originally drafted by Kansas City in the 24th round of the 2011 draft. The center field hanging up a little bit behind the Shields. He has that great closing speed. 1 out. Gattis 2 out of 4 as he makes the right turn at first base. And Colby Rasmus now will come up.
Nice play by Delano Lucia. Got over that ball pretty quick. Hung up enough for him to run under it and make the first out of the inning.
Colby Rasmus 1 for 3 tonight. His base hit came in the 7th inning against Colby Lewis. Also grounded into a double play and struck out. A double play would end this ball game. 0-1. Spencer Patton played his collegiate ball at Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville. And he gets a knee-high strike to Rasmus, 0-2.
Like Spencer's found what he was looking for, the strike zone.
Yeah.
First batter. And just a little off, but now he's back to throwing strikes.
Got him swinging. Good pitch down and in. And Patton gets the strikeout. There are 2 away with Chris Carter coming up.
Slider down again. Rasmus to swing over the top of it.
That's amazing. Sometimes that strike zone doesn't make the trip in with you from the bullpen. You leave it out there. You say, doggone, I thought I had that with me, but I guess not.
Did you call a timeout and go back and
get it? Sometimes you have to. Carter, a drive to right field. Chu is stopping. He looks up. That ball is gone into the Astro bullpen. And Chris Carter, with his 4th home run of the year, makes it an 11-3 Ranger lead. Valbuena scores in front of him. Chris Carter showing you the opposite field power that he has.
That was way too easy for the big man.
Well, very much a low ball hitter. Mac, you talked last night about letting big guys extend their arms. That's a good example of it right there.
That's where the power comes in. You don't see too many guys getting jammed and hitting them out of the ballpark. They've got to get that extension.
Now base is empty. Hank Conger up for his second at bat. Came on as a pinch hitter for Jake Maristic back in the 7th and grounded out. Conger, a catcher by trade, although you're in the emergency situation, playing in left field. 2 balls and a strike. Colby talking with Mitch Moreland, Prince Fielder. Ross Detweiler sitting there kibitzing on the conversation. 2-2. It's amazing what 20 runs over 3 days will do to that dugout. I see a lot more smiles down there, don't you?
A lot more smiles, a lot more giggles, a lot more playing going on.
Got him swinging. And that, thanks to Spencer Patton's strikeout, is a winner. And the Rangers complete the 3-game sweep of the Houston Astros, the high-flying Astros who came in on a 10-game win streak. They were looking to increase that. The Rangers said no. They broke out the brooms and swept them aside.